As Michael Tucker drove west down leaf-strewn Harkness Boulevard, the check engine light flickered anxiously on the dashboard. His fingertips drummed a patch of silver hair just above his ear, while dark-rimmed eyes sought out a place to pull over. In the lattice sunlight that shone through the bare branches of a maple tree, he parked and shut off the engine. Children huddled tightly as they waited curbside for the bus to take them to school. Michael considered their smiles and ruddy cheeks. The boys wore 2 long jeans that pooled on their shoe tops. The girls were buck-toothed and gangly. The boys would grow into their jeans, the girls into their bodies. With a trembling hand, Michael flattened a thought against his chest. Starting the car, the check engine light still beckoned. He returned to the driveway he'd left only minutes before. His black shoes clacked hurriedly up the cobblestone walkway. He glanced at his neighbor's manicured lawns and spotty red bushes. The growth stalled and the leaves choked by an early frost. Finding the front door locked, he craned his neck and squinted through a sidelight with swirling nickel caming, while fishing keys from his wool sport coat. Entering, he called out to his wife, "Laura, I need to borrow your car this morning. The Subaru is acting up on me and I don't want to risk getting stuck in the city. Laura?" The house was bright and quiet. Even the row of potted rosary vines, hanging from hooks along a rustic crossbeam in the foyer, was motionless. Listening intently, he heard a fluttering busyness coming from the upstairs bedroom. He went up and opened the door. Laura stood naked on the bed, her hair wet and drawn back into a dark ponytail. A length of rope was tied over a crossbeam. Her thin fingers fumbled with the knots of a noose. "I need to borrow your car this morning, Laura. The Subaru is acting up." She didn't look at him. Her pastel skin reflected light that gushed through a window in the sloped ceiling. She let the noose fall from her hands. It grazed her knocked knees and landed at her feet that were pressed in the cool, bunched blankets of an unmade bed. Michael, grappling comprehension, staggered into a mahogany end table. A green vase of withering red roses teetered, then fell, shattering on the hardwood floor. He went to the bathroom and fetched her robe. Kicking off his shoes, he climbed onto the bed. He put the robe around her shoulders. She kept her head turned away. As he tied the belt at her waist, his fingers brushed the raised scar from her C-section. Her body retreated as if burned. She let go a whimper. He eased her down into a prone position and covered her with a blanket. He stroked her hair until her eyes closed. Rising, he gathered the rope and spun it into a ball. In the kitchen, he emptied the trash barrel onto the floor and stuffed the rope into the bottom. He covered it with garbage, placing the roses on top. Returning to the bedroom, he swept the broken vase into a dustpan, careful not to disturb Laura as she rested. Back in the city, gray towers loomed like discordant thoughts over the hustle on the sidewalks. Glancing at his wristwatch, Michael jogged to the revolving doors of a building. Defensive pink palms pressed against the twirling glass as business suits entered and exited. Inside, Michael nodded to a security guard dressed in black pants and a white shirt that strained against his rounded belly. "Good morning, Mr. Tucker." He rode the elevator to the 16th floor. Pacing hard down the hallway, he passed billowing skirts and waxed legs, clean faces and strong cologne, ringing phones and chatter. A tall man, young and square-jawed, slid in front of him. "Michael, I've been looking for you. I need to show you the Haskins report." Michael took the report and flipped through it. The man watched him nervously, eyes twitching. "Everything should be there," he said. "Does it look all right to you?" Michael pressed it to the man's chest. "It looks fine." "Are you all right, Michael? You're sweating." Michael ignored the question and sidestepped around him. Outside his office, a plump woman in a red dress looked up from scattered papers on a desk. "Good morning, Michael. Can I get you a coffee?" "No." "Don't forget you have a meeting in the lounge in 15 minutes. "Thanks." Michael closed the door behind him and went to his desk. He pulled a small bottle of whiskey from the top drawer. Unscrewing the cap, he looked out the window to the street below. A congestion of cars slugged beneath the sun like insignificant wounded ants that didn't know any better. He held the bottle beneath his nose and inhaled deeply. Then he threw it against the window. The glass spiderwebbed upon impact but didn't break. The bottle landed on the carpet with a muted thud, brown liquid pulsing from the mouth, feeding thirsty fibers. There was a knock on the door. "Michael, is everything all right in there?" It was the voice of the woman in the red dress. "Everything is fine. I'll be out in a minute." In a modest corner bathroom, he splashed cold water onto his cheeks and straightened his tie in the mirror, careful not to meet his eyes. He came out of the office. "Donna, please keep this door closed. I'm tired of people coming in here when I'm not around." In the lounge, Michael sat at the head of a long, polished table. He laced his fingers and kept his head down. Soon, the room filled with suits and close-cropped hair. A man with horn-rimmed glasses leaned over and asked, "Michael, would you like to begin?" "I have to go." "Excuse me?" Michael's head shot up and the man jerked with surprise. "My car," said Michael. "Are you all right?" the man asked, confused. "You look very pale." Michael looked at the boyish faces around the table. Once knowing and accessible, but now ignorant and frozen, their eyes flickered like flames amidst the ice as they pondered him. To them, he was now foreign, a middle-aged man who had already buried more in his life than they'd fleetingly fathomed to birth. Michael stood roughly, upending his chair, and left the room. He ran down the hallway. Donna, peering into his office, stiffened and turned when she heard the fast footfalls. "Michael?" He spiraled down 16 flights of concrete stairs. In the lobby, the security guard rose. He spoke into a microphone strapped to his shoulder. "He's coming now." He moved in front of Michael and held out his arms. "Mr. Tucker, please slow down. What's wrong?" "My car," said Michael, breathless. "What's wrong with your car, sir? Has there been an incident?" Michael writhed in his suit, in his skin. His eyes were wild, his face flushed and streaming. "Please, James," he pleaded. James nodded and stepped aside. Michael fought through the revolving doors to the street. James shook his head wearily and sat down. The phone at his station rang. "Hello?" "Yes, he just left." "Yes. Yes, sir." "You have a good day, too." The lobby was empty. James took a cell phone from his pocket and called his wife. He asked how the children were. He told her he loved her. He told her to tell the children he loved them. Leaning back in his chair, his index finger moved from side to side over his white mustache. He studied the black marble floor. He did this for a long time.